Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new Star Wars Files.
Yeah.
We'll be discussing the big finale of the prequel trilogy with Revenge of the Sith. My name is Patrick. I'll be your host. And joining me are my three co-hosts.
It's Jonathan.
Wenzel.
What's that Star Wars guy?
Wow, that's
hold
not
on.
vague at all.
He's like, zoom, and then the kid's like, whoa.
Oh, Anakin?
Yeah, the actor. I'm him.
Oh, Hayden
Hayden
Christensen.
Hayden Christensen. That's me. I'm Colt.
Fuck. Okay. You like that?
And like I said, we were discussing just what our general thoughts of the Revenge of the Sith was, and how we're able to how it sort of ties up not only the prequel trilogy but the first 2/3 of the Star Wars saga.
Yeah.
The last time I saw this movie was when we did a great rewatch before we went and saw Episode 7. And then, when I did watch it, I thought it was my favorite. And after I rewatched it, it is not my favorite. It's up there. I think it's better than every movie in the first trilogy. And I think it's better than the first and the second. But I think Episode 8 and 7 are top. That's top for me.
Yeah, it's fine. I still out of the prequel trilogy. I'm sorry if anybody hears a little pop. It's my favorite. I enjoy it quite a bit, and I don't know if I enjoy it a bit more or a lot more than the original trilogy, but maybe I do. I don't know. I watched this movie recently before we did the podcast for Attack of the Clones, so it's like this is probably my third or second time seeing it this year, and I mean I don't know. There's some parts that like when you watch it, it's like you know every time Hayden Christensen says anything, it's like fuck, it's Hayden Christensen. You constantly reminded, but like other than that, like with the whole thing, like with you know like the political side and like Obi-Wan and Anakin's like strained relationship, and then just like you know I mean we don't really get much of the clones, but we know you know they're there and the whole clone conflict, Clone Wars going on. It's like I still think it's very interesting and very definitely gets you like into it. Yeah.
This is the one I always go back and forth on whether I like it or not, just because like the episodes 1 and 2 are garbage. They are very bad. This one is the best way I can describe it. It's like it's a top floor of a building that's immaculate, but it's built on a foundation and other floors of just like collapsing rubble.
Yeah.
So it's hard to enjoy that one immaculate floor when it's over this like foundation of garbage.
Yeah.
And I remember I watched this movie recently, like before we rewatched it for the podcast, and I remember not liking it as much as I thought I would. There was just a lot of things that bothered me. But with this one, I guess I was just more willing to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it a lot more than I realized. Granted, we were shitting on the movie the entire time. Because like Wenzel was saying, every time Hayden Christensen opened his mouth, and I hate shitting on the guy because they say he's like a really nice dude.
Guy, yeah.
And also, too, I mean, you know, this isn't necessarily attack on his character, but goddamn, every time he was on screen, I wanted to punch him.
Yeah.
and I mean, he just has this creepy face.
Oh yeah.
And part of it, like, I think that's what Lucas was going for, because he quote had this dark quality to him, but God, he was just like creepy McCreeperson.
Yeah.
And
I guess
like before I keep going on, that's just sort of my general thought.
For me, it's obviously the strongest of the prequel trilogy by far, and this is coming from someone who doesn't like malign the prequel trilogy as much as other people do. They're not outstanding movies by any sense, but like I can sit through any of them and not feel like I'm just being raked over hot coals. But I feel like there's I feel like it's a weird position. Or I see a lot of the potential, and like maybe that's what kind of like I glean on. It's like there's so much potential in the prequel trilogy as a whole, but
You really see it in this
It feels
movie.
a bit more realized in this trilogy. It's like third time's the charm. Lucas just spent millions and millions of dollars, and he got one that was halfway decent with the third one. But there's a lot here, and I feel like there was something like there were things that they could have done, but that were just cut out the last minute. Like with Anakin's whole trajectory in the movie, like we obviously know that he's going to go with bad in the end, but it feels so rushed. But there's a reason for that, because apparently in the original script he had a much more like complicated and nuanced like feelings and sort of like and all these other factors that it contributed to him becoming Darth Vader. But apparently the executives thought it was too complicated, so they just narrowed it down to he doesn't want his wife to die, which is a valid thing, but it just seems like he's kind of floating, he's kind of towing the line to really the whole movie, and then just wham, he's just full bad evil.
Yeah, I mean,
because it literally goes from him being, Anakin Skywalker, who has like some dark tendencies, but is all around a good person, to genociding kids. Like there's no step between that. And if we're taking like Clone Wars into account, like you see him get to where he is in Revenge of the Sith, but in Revenge of the Sith it seems like he literally just jumps off a cliff as far as his trajectory goes.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of my biggest complaints of the movie, is how it's just like, I killed Mace Windu, or helped kill Mace Windu. I'll do everything you say, weird frog guy.
Yeah, he just completely just bows to him. Which, I mean, like Pat said, there are moments that like really like, they should have shined a little bit brighter than they should have. Because like there's moments where like you have Anakin who like is obviously conflicted, and we get those, but then it's like, but then you have the whole like story of like him just not wanting Padme to die, and it's just like, okay. Because like there's a moment where like you see him talk to Mace and tell, like, because at first it's like we see his path and we see him going down because he starts to befriend Palpatine more and more and more, and then Palpatine starts to reveal more that like he's obviously Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
And then at some point it's like it's as like Anakin goes to Mace Windu and tells him, and it's like you see a moment like, okay, Anakin's he's not there yet, but it's like it's just a nice little conflicted moment, and then also especially with his conversation with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's like it's just not really fleshed out, and it just kind of sucks. But and then also, and Hayden with his acting too, it's kind of just so devoid of any real emotion, because you're mostly getting that conflict just from like just from the conversations and the characters that he's talking to rather than himself.
Yeah, and like one of the conversations, I think, is the one you were talking about with Obi-Wan Kenobi right before Obi-Wan goes to Utapau to fight Grievous. There is this very much this tension, and that's where you get a lot of like the other conflict that I imagine was cut out, which had to do with more the political side of it. Yeah, which I really wish was in the movie. But like you were saying, it's only because one, Ewan McGregor's a great actor.
Yeah.
But like, and Hayden Christensen's just so wooden and stiff, and and it's just, God, I just wish this movie would have went through a couple more rewrites, and like, I think I also am I get more angry at this movie because there is so much you see like with Phantom Menace and Attack of Clones, you really have to look for the gems and pile of shit.
Yeah.
But with this movie, you can really see the potential that's there.
Oh yeah.
And it's just
it's definitely right there at the finish line, but it stumbles at the end because there's a lot of really cool, interesting like plots going on because like why Anakin's so conflicted is because he sees like how the Jedi they're being very secretive, they're being obstructive, dogmatic, and just like sort of not really practicing what they preach. And you have the Senate that's like the political side rapidly accruing power, and like it's very very like inhuman and sort of like just very sort of dangerous and like just warmongering thing. So you have two sides that are kind of bad in their own way, and then you have someone who's like caught between, who sees the good on both sides and sees the bad on both sides. And he's trying to like straddle his love and his loyalty.
Yeah, because he literally just has like Obi-Wan, who, you know, you're my brother, Anakin, I love you. But and then he has like Palpatine, who, even though Palpatine's using him for his own ends, he's acting like he's his father that he never had.
Yeah. And that's all I was gonna say. Is like the political side again is like, I think, you know, we don't get much of it, but it's definitely more interesting because it's like you have the political side in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and it sucked. It was so boring, and it's like you forget about it. But with this, it's more interesting because it's like you see the Senate, they're giving so much power to the Chancellor. They're literally giving up, and then you have the Jedi who are being super secretive, like you said, like you said, Pat, and like they're essentially like trying to infiltrate and try to understand like what's going on, and like, but they're also trying to like defend the Republic as well. And it's just, I think it's very interesting, especially like with Obi-Wan's conversation about Anakin, because Anakin, it's like they put so much on him, so much responsibility, and it's like even with all this responsibility, it's like the Jedi still won't make him a master, but it's like they want him to like get close to Palpatine, deal with the politics, yet he barely understands it himself because he just has a very like
naive perspective.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think that was done very well, but it's like we just don't get much of it, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, and since the focus is focused more on him dealing with his feelings about Padme, I think would be fine if him and Natalie Portman had any sort of chemistry,
yeah.
And if her character was anywhere developed, and that's one of the big problems of the prequel trilogy that I have, is Padme's not really a character.
No.
She's really just an outline of a character. And the outline of the character is this really strong, independent character. Like, I'd say even more so than Leia in the original trilogy. But
she's always living in Leia's shadow. She came second, so like she always had like this thing to live up to, but also But she's also more of the object of Anakin's affection instead of her own person. Which, like, and even in subsequent materials, except for that newest book that came out from her Shadow.
Yeah, from her perspective. I haven't read it yet, but people say it's really good, that you really get her as a character instead of a prop.
Yeah, which, I mean, you even see that in the Clone Wars, where there's like several episodes where it's just focused on Padme, and she's very much like independent, and not where we see her like, we kind of see her more of like as a damsel, sort of, like, I don't know. I'm just, it's just, I don't know. It's just not. It's not good how they how they portrayed her, especially Natalie.
It just seems weird. Like, part of me feels like the most active she got to be was in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
It's like she's actually physically active. She's going off and she's able to fight. And where this one, and when the Revenge of the Sith, she's kind of relegated to wringing her hands and sort of like being very concerned.
Which, yeah, I mean, to be, she was pregnant, but like,
but also too, like, I mean, for the character that she's supposed to be, she is supposed to be this very proactive politician.
Yeah.
Who's like very much, in some ways, a little misguided, I could see, but also has very good intentions.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, honestly, they probably could have replaced Bail Organa's character arc in this movie with her.
Probably.
Like, with her physically going to the Jedi Temple and her realizing Anakin's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
But instead of having, like, Obi-Wan, I don't know, but then then that gets into like rewriting the entire movie.
Yeah,
but like it's, and also too, like, just talking about the prequel trilogy as a whole and talking about Bail Organa, he's literally Leia's adoptive dad, and he doesn't really get anything to do until the last like 30-45 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
But the movie like tries to act like he's been this character the whole time.
Yeah.
And it acts like you're supposed to know who he is, and I to me it just seems hard for anyone, like a casual watcher of these movies, to be like, oh, that's who that is.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like that movie is like that in general, because it's like this takes place like so much longer after Attack of the Clones. You have like the instance of the clones. Like, nobody knows unless you went back and watched the Clone Wars, which came after. You wouldn't have no idea who these clone commanders or soldiers are. But like, if you like if you knew or watched the show, it's like you would know like those relationships, like how even though Order 66 from what we see is like, that's really heartbreaking, but it's still like you're still losing like how heartbreaking it is, because these clones have been fighting with these their Jedi generals for like this entire length of the war, and then it's like they're just like they don't even want to do what they're doing. They are literally programmed with a chip in their brain to kill their friends.
Yeah, but that's an issue too, because that's not in the movie itself, and that was retroactively added, which is which I feel like part of it was, and part of the EU, even for the original trilogy, would do that, where it's like, oh, there's this kind of like plot contrivance, plot convenience, plot hole that, okay, we'll explain it in other things.
Yeah.
Which, like, the movie should stand on their own and not have to. But like, and that was one of the things I noticed this time more than any other, was especially after watching the Clone Wars, Cody in particular. It's like, oh, you really see in that brief interaction with him and Obi-Wan their connection, but how much of that is that the movie being subtle, and that's because I have this retroactive information of something else, and to me it's the latter.
Yeah, it's just yeah. But I will say, like, something that the movie does do well, and I mean, this is by no means should make any movie great, is like how for me personally, like from beginning to end, I really am like, and every time I see this, I'm really stuck to it. Like, I'm really in there watching it, and like maybe because of the action, because like nonstop, it's like literally there's a battle in the very beginning, then we go into, you know, a little bit of the political side.
The only slow point is when everyone's meeting together in the room, and Anakin's like, "Why don't you trust me?"
Which one is that?
It's like at the very beginning.
Yeah. That's like, yeah. I guess that's what I should say. Is like, this movie's pretty fast paced. Like, I didn't like by the time we got to Order 66 being like initiated or whatever, I was like, oh shit, we're close to the end. Like, I didn't realize that.
I remember like even getting to like the final scene of the movie, like looking at little baby Luke, I'm like, fuck, this movie's over.
Yeah, like I remember with Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I was like, oh fuck,
it just drags.
It drags on. I'm like, where the fuck are we with this? It's like,
well, and also too, Attack of the Clones was a longer movie.
Oh yeah, but like with this, it's like, okay, here we are. Here, this is where we're going, and I do like that. It's just like, it's pretty much just a straight shot.
It almost feels like this is what Lucas really wanted to do, but felt like because of like one, naming the movies Episode 4, 5, and 6, which was named even before the prequels came out, that like, oh, he has to do a 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
and I feel like if it was just this movie but had more effort put into it, which even like with episodes 1 and 2, there was a lot done. Like, there was a lot of hard work that went into it.
Oh yeah,
and I know a lot of people really shit on like the special effects of these movies, which part of it I could see, but I was also really surprised, more so with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, of how well a lot of the stuff is aged. Like it really was with a Phantom Menace, where it's like, ooh, yeah, this is early CG. You could tell they weren't really there yet. Versus like episodes 2 and 3, which was like, okay, yeah, it doesn't look like they're interacting with anything real, but I don't know. To me, it kind of worked.
I think one of the strongest pieces of digital imagery is still the opening to episode 3, when they had probably one of the biggest space battles in Star Wars. Until like episode 8.
Yeah, and that
still aged very well.
Especially that like single shot that pans down and them like,
you can see all the ships fighting. Like, there's a battle going on.
Yeah, that's like also too, just John Williams pulled no punches with the soundtrack. It is. without a doubt the best, and I think makes the scenes that wouldn't have any impact at all have some, like for example, the Order 66, and it's because it has that very operatic, melancholy,
but also like
track to it.
Yeah, I should say, like, going into the music, that was something. Sorry, I know I said that like these interactions with the clone commanders and the Jedi generals were kind of like, that was kind of taken because you don't really know like those bonds. But I will say, like, even with that though, like with the music, it still makes it just as like heart wrenching, because like with that first like. Well, I should say the moment when Anakin is marching upon the Jedi Temple with the 501st Legion, just that like that music, that marching beat, it's just so like, fuck, here we go. And then the very sad music playing as, you know, the clones are all being ordered to kill their generals. Like you definitely feel it, and like John Williams went all out. And back to the opening scene when they were flying, that was really nice. Really good. Really well done.
And barring Hayden Christensen's wooden performance, like a lot of the banter in that scene, that I'd say that opening 20 minutes up to where they like crash land on Coruscant.
Yeah,
it's
actually fairly good.
I enjoy sort of like, even though it could be stronger, like I still enjoyed what we got between Obi-Wan and Anakin. It felt natural, because however difficult it may have been for Hayden to convey that in a movie, I think Hayden and Ewan had a genuine chemistry, and that came through very well in this. And I think that's probably like one of the strongest parts, is that all of their flaws aside, I feel like you got to see the bond between Obi-Wan and Anakin in this, and I think that's one of the gems in the movie.
Yeah. It's like, again, like another moment of potential where it's like we don't know like what it exactly led up. You know, we know they've been bonding, especially since Attack of the Clones, but it's like, you know, we don't know exactly what led to this, but like we get it at least, which is good.
Yeah, because like especially in Attack of the Clones, which I really think they should have started there instead of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Because, like, starting at the Phantom Menace, that's just way too early. Because there was just, like, it's like, yeah, we see Palpatine rise to being Chancellor, but that's about the only noteworthy thing that really happens. Because most of all the conflict for the prequel trilogy is the Separatist Crisis and the Clone Wars, which doesn't start until right before Episode 2. So it's like, what was even the point? But, like, getting back to their bond, like, their just genuine chemistry, we can't not talk about this movie and not talk about the fight scene at the end.
Oh, yeah. Like, especially with the music with that, when, like, as soon as Obi-Wan confronts Anakin, and Anakin goes into a spiel about how, you know, this is my new, which I could say word for word because I've heard it so many fucking times.
And he did.
And I did. I've heard it so many times because I do kind of enjoy that a little bit, because you get to see like this is him. This is tyranny right here, and then Obi-Wan's like, I don't only Sith deal in absolutes. I will do what I must, even though that's a fucking absolute. But yeah, no, like just oh man, very fucking good, very intense. Even though we kind of shit on it, the part where they're fucking spinning their lightsabers,
that was fucking awesome.
That was still awesome.
Yeah, most of what, at least my criticisms of the fight itself, are like the latter parts where they're like swashbuckling and swinging on like wires and shit.
That was funny. That was funny.
Yeah, but
like if for some reason they asked me to do that fight scene again, the only thing I would change would be like by the end of it is like more of just them getting tired.
Yeah.
And not them like jumping around doing these high flying acrobatics, which kind of it and also too, it goes on really long.
Yeah.
It's like probably like the fight itself is like 15 minutes. Not counting it being intercut with Yoda and Sidious, which now granted that was epic as fuck.
That was so fucking good. I really enjoyed seeing that again, especially when fucking Sidious was throwing one of the
The Senate seats.
Senate seats, and then Yoda caught it, started spinning, and then you can tell like, oh fuck, don't fuck with Yoda, and throws it right back at the douchebag. Fuck, it was really good.
I will say, because of course we all know that one of the things that Lucas is very much has a handle on is his visuality, and like this had the most action in it, and it had like a lot of great action sequences, from like the space battle to like the Obi-Wan Anakin fight. Of course, it kind of gets a little long in the tooth, but just like all the different incidental sequences, just like they feel very strong, they feel very impactful. Like when Obi-Wan and Yoda go to like
the Jedi Temple,
go to the Jedi Temple, and you see like Yoda's savagery come out,
fucking cutting down clones like no tomorrow. See, that's what I really liked about this movie. Like again, about the action sequences, because there's so much like if you're not paying attention like to the background. Like there's so much stuff going on, and especially with that, it's like you see all these clones coming up and they're just getting cut down.
Like Yoda like throws his lightsaber into that one dude's chest, hops over and yanks it out,
and fucking oh my god,
and jumps right next to the guy.
And it's just what's also really good, like with the original trilogy, it's like you would like if you didn't have these prequels, it's like you would never know that Yoda was such a fucking badass, especially with his last movie. You really see it pulled out of him.
And I know a lot of fans complain about Yoda being a gymnast and stuff like that, but it's like oh, he wasn't like that in the original trilogy, and it's like
he was dying.
He literally fought in like a war, and you didn't expect him to be at least somewhat competent with a lightsaber. I don't know. I feel like of all the criticisms of the prequels, if that's the hill you want to die on, is Yoda being awesome.
Yeah, like I mean, how else would he fucking fight? He would have to have. I mean, he's an old ass dude. He has probably the most knowledge about the Force. I mean, of course he'd be fucking acrobatic.
He swings at your ankles.
Yeah,
or he's basically like somebody can like actually like squat down and just like wave their lightsaber like at his level. I mean,
that won't fucking work. And also, you could make an argument that we've been off for 12 days.
Because that's exactly how long it's been since that last argument was said.
Just like a Harry Potter movie, we come in part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Woo woo.
Oh man.
We had
a hiccup.
Yeah. That took 12 days to fix.
Well, it didn't actually need 12 days to fix. It could literally have been fixed
in like a
few minutes.
But 12 days was the best time that we can make.
Yeah.
Very busy schedule.
And the hiccup was that there was too much data on our card. So
I don't think I could appreciate you showing how the sausage is made, Wenzel.
I'm sorry.
That's our secret recipe right there. But Star Wars.
Nobody knows the secret sauce.
Yeah, I think if they listen to the last 2 episodes, they'll know what the secret sauce is.
Yeah.
Cheeto.
Oh. Shut the fuck
up. But yeah, so we were just talking about Yoda, how badass he was, which he was badass. And
we don't remember what Wenzel was going to make the argument that
it's so funny because nobody here knows except for us. But we went for a good another 30 minutes before I realized that we were out of storage. Yeah. So there was so much good content that was lost. It makes me really sad. It made everybody really sad. We're all sad boys. Yeah. Can I get a
Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
There Wenzel goes with the visual bits.
The visual bit is the weird head motion that e-boys are doing on TikToks. It's a very specific motion, and for some reason I'm very angry by it.
I don't even know how to it's like a.
You tap your fingers on the side of your head,
and then roll your eyes back
and stick your tongue out.
It's supposed to be really cool and trendy.
Stop that. Third time's the charm because
that is dumb.
This is the third time we've attempted to record this.
Nobody wants us to talk about Revenge of the Sith, apparently.
No. Okay, Star Wars. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yoda killed a lot of people.
Yeah, something
It's way too many.
I've been thinking about it since we had that hiccup, and I just think about how ruthless he was in killing those clones, man. So like I've been thinking about like how so efficient Yoda is.
Well, I feel like he was just like an animal that finally got let out of his cage. He finally had an excuse to fuck up.
I guess, but it's like a very merciless and efficient animal that knows exactly how to take down all of its opponents.
Well, he kills it without suffering, especially the guy who got a lightsaber through his chest.
Yeah.
Right through that heart.
Fuck. It went right through him. Damn. But yeah, so
Yoda's badass.
So yeah, Yoda's badass. Let's talk about something else since we talked about him so much last.
Let's talk about another mass murder, General Grievous.
Yeah, fucker killed so many clones during the Clone Wars that you'll never see or know unless you watch the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he gets introduced in this movie and then just like unceremoniously killed off. It's like, okay, cool.
You know,
But
this
the
giant,
time that he was there was fucking awesome. Like, I loved his fight scenes were pretty damn cool compared
Which
to
was-
the rest of the movie.
Which was like what, a half and then two and then a second sort of full fight scene.
It made me want more.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that and said I could go with less of that?
Which it's funny because you only want more if you knew that he wasn't gonna die, like, or if you knew that they were gonna make something to show him what he did in the his escapades. But yeah, no, it was it's funny because you see all these separatists or generals that have been introduced throughout the prequels, and then you get introduced to General Grievous, who is very menacing, looks badass, and then it's like he just gets killed off.
he comes out of nowhere and he disappears just as quickly.
Yep, shot right in the fucking chest and blows up.
And he had like a robot tuberculosis when Mace Windu crushed his chest in the Clone Wars. That's why he's coughing.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Wow, yeah, that's cool. But you know, I remember watching it as a kid and being horrified because it's like I loved the clones so much, but I knew that he was like kind of a dick, and I was like, oh man, but then he looked so cool, and I was like, oh no, General Grievous, that looks like that hurts.
You poor skull face spider cyborg man.
Yeah, but yeah, no, very something we talk about, or I don't remember if we talked about, was the design for some of the shit in Revenge of the Sith. Very fucking good. I mean, oh yeah, sorry, I was thinking in my head, but General Grievous was designed before this. No, he was designed specifically for this movie, and then everything else about him was filled in afterwards. But his design is very, very nice, very cool. And if anybody knows about what he looked like previously before his cybernetic enhancements, he looked still pretty awesome. I don't know if anybody remembers. Do you remember what his species was?
The Kalish.
Yeah, very, very cool, very warlike, tribe-like. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I know, I love him, and I love his guards as well. They're very menacing for the fact that like they're one of the few droids that if you cut off their head, they'll still keep fighting, or if you cut off any limb other than if you like, I mean, to an extent, they'll keep fighting, which is really badass.
Yeah, and I think the Magna Guard things were pretty cool. The little sticks with a little electro.
Yeah, little purple.
It's one of the few weapons in this era of Star Wars that can combat a lightsaber.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And gosh, you know, I don't know if they get enough, which they don't get enough love, especially since they've been in the prequels since the first movie, are the droids, like the droid designs. I've always enjoyed them, even though, you know, who cares about droids, but it's all about the clones or the stormtroopers.
That was something I wish was fleshed out even more so in the Clone Wars, because they're just like kind of comic relief.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, the designs are really cool, and it would just be interesting to get more of just more development there. And the same with the clones. While I really love the clones, and they do get more fleshed out in subsequent material.
Yeah.
There's still that ethical quandary that I wish was explored, but I don't think George Lucas was really interested in. And
No.
You were literally creating these people to die.
Yeah.
And like it does get mentioned here and there outside of the movies, but like even then it's like this is prime material for like some existential horror shit.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, in the Clone Wars, like, you know, it's very much sparsely like mentioned, but like there a lot of the clones who are dealing with like this kind of crisis, they're like, we're expendable. Like what? Like there's nothing, you know, there's nothing worthwhile about us, and like that's the whole thing. Like with, you know, you can bring up this argument that like the droids and the clones are kind of just the same. It's just that one's you know, one has skin and bones and the other's just mechanical.
And plus we get there's the whole idea that if they have this self-awareness that they are expendable, there's maybe an extra layer that basically these are all grown men, but they went from an infant to a man in 10 years.
Yeah.
So like there's people the same age as them, but they're still children, so they're still like the accelerated growth that probably can probably mess with their head if they're allowed to be that introspective.
And something else too I think that was also mentioned in Clone Wars as well, was there was a group of clones who were like, because with their doing this, you have to like people don't understand, the Kaminoans even mentioned this, was that like to get the perfect clones that they had to go through several trials, which means that there were probably hiccups during the process, and that means that there were probably clones who came out like deformed or had neurological issues, and then there were clones, and there was one I remember in the Clone Wars specifically that was an old man who like,
I think his name was 99,
something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean all the clones loved him too, but they also kind of felt like they didn't really berate him, but like they definitely felt like he was definitely beneath them because he was kind of the janitor essentially.
Basically, it's like this weird like pity.
Yeah. And
of course he has like this attitude of like, oh man, I really want to go fight, but literally don't have the capability to.
He physically can't. And then you do see his, spoiler, he has a heroic sacrifice towards the end of the episode, and which was nice and sad. But but like I was saying though, I think there was a group of clones who were not mistakes or messed up, but they were like genetically like they weren't. I mean, they were genetically like from Jango Fett, but like how they looked physically or how they like, I can't remember, their physical appearance and stuff about them was different, and I thought that was interesting.
Are you talking about the Bad Batch?
Yes, I think that's what they're called. Yeah. I thought that was interesting, but yeah, there was a lot of with like Revenge of the Sith, and then again with the Clone Wars, there's just so much that was lost because we also see it. I'm going to mention this, that we see a moment where like you have these clones who are named. There's Commander Cody. And during the Order 66 sequence, we see Commander Neo, Commander Bakara, Commander Bly. I can't remember who was the clone commander who shot down Plo Koon, but he was, I originally thought it was Wolf, but no, it's not Wolf. And several others. It's like you have all these clones who have names and who have these relationships with these Jedi generals. Oh, Commander Gree, and you just see them, and it's like you don't really like. Even like, well, I guess at the time I did feel bad because Commander Gree does get his head fucking cut off, and Commander Cody tries to kill Obi-Wan, but you don't feel that much of an attachment to them. And it's just like, again, another moment of like you throw these characters in there who have these huge stories, but it's like you don't know until like material outside of that.
Yeah, and part of that is one, just time constraints, but also two,
it's just kind of what Star Wars has done.
Yeah, because there's just, I don't know, like, and a lot of the things that make the clones interesting was kind of retroactively added.
Yeah.
And like the whole like chips in the head, things like that. And I like, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but the clones' relationship after seeing the Clone Wars, you kind of see that more, especially with Cody and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just kind of there. And another thing I wish, I probably mentioned this on either the other two episodes, but I kind of wish the Separatists got more development.
Yeah.
Because at least the way it's wanting to be presented is there's really not... it's not as clear cut as say the original trilogy, because like the Empire is clearly a dictatorship, and while there's probably a lot of good people who are ultimately just doing their jobs, at the end of the day it's like
you're contributing to imperialism.
And like the rebellions are clearly the good guys, whereas this is like the Separatists have valid reasons for wanting to secede, and frankly, like the Republic's insistence of keeping them in is like, you could explore like the whole political thing there, but it seems like Lucas wanted the political complexity of something like that, but also wanting the same dynamic from the original
trilogy, yeah.
And that leads to like Grievous kind of being this mustache twirling villain, even in the second Clone Wars, not Clone Wars, but the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
He's kind of more of like his original, the Revenge of the Sith portrayal versus the 2D, what is it, Tarkovsky?
Oh, I don't.
The guy who did Samurai Jack did the original.
Oh, yeah.
You mean the voiceless, implacable man, unstoppable killing machine?
Oh my god, yeah, where he literally kills Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
It's
he
like, hell
literally
yeah.
just dives down from the fucking ceiling, smashes him, kills him.
And if I remember correctly, like at one point he's like dueling like with 5 lightsabers and one in his foot.
Yeah.
It's
He has
like,
one in-
what the fuck?
It's so fucking sick. And then there's also another really good scene there too, where he was fucking in a room full of I don't know how many fucking clone troopers, just is cutting through their fucking armor, literally smashing a helmet, and you can understand there's a head in that helmet. No blood. There's a head there.
Because wasn't there a scene where he grabs like a trooper's head with his foot and just like either he crushes it in his foot or just
Smashes it on the
ground.
floor. Yeah. No, it was fucking brutal. Fucking crazy.
I can't remember. Are the animated Clone Wars the original? Are those considered non-canon now?
Yes, there are ways you can make it work to where, like, if you want to do a head canon, because it doesn't really. I think probably does establish a time, but like there really isn't much time established from Attack of the Clones to the CG Clone Wars.
Yeah,
like. And a lot of the original Clone Wars is kind of especially the first part of the show is very much the immediate after Attack of the Clones.
So I guess there's not really anything to contradict, like what came after that, the secondary Clone Wars.
Not really, and it does a lot better job of introducing characters like Asajj Ventress, who kind of just is in the Clone Wars and expects you to know who this character is.
Yeah,
and it's like. This character, like, if you hadn't watched the original Clone Wars, and since we're not counting it as canon, I feel like that character deserved a actual introduction.
Oh fuck! I forgot she was in the original Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That was her only fucking introduction, and then they just kind of throw her in. Well, shit. Because for some reason I keep thinking in my head like, oh, she's in Revenge of the Sith, but she's not. She's not in there.
Yeah. Well, originally she was created, I want to say, by George Lucas's daughter as kind of the character that ultimately became Count Dooku, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, why? Like, granted, I love Christopher Lee, and even though he's not given much,
Okay.
and even though Dooku isn't given much to do, I still love Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like Asajj Ventress would have been a much more interesting character to take his place than a guy who, like, as a kid, I would joke and say his name is Count Doo-Doo.
Yeah.
That's
Just
good.
call him
That's
Darth
real good.
Tyrannus. That's his Darth name.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm like,
Never let that go.
why? Why do you have to insist on his name being Count Doo-Doo?
I will say, if people who are interested in Count Dooku, there is a new audio book about Count Dooku's past that I think it's very much worth looking into, because it's like basically an audio play. It's really the first time it's really been done, and it kind of like, I think it's called, is it Jedi Lost?
I believe so.
It's basically like what sort of like Count Dooku's past as a young man and like his story as a Jedi, and it's a very interesting story. Although of course you don't have Christopher Lee's like gravitas and baritone, but it's definitely worth looking into. It has a lot of really interesting lore, and it really paints this fuller picture of like how the Jedi have been on a downward slope for some time, even before we see them in the movies.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. It also, from what I hear, develops more on Asajj Ventress too.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like a dual story. Like, she's the one that's looking into Dooku's past, and then it takes over from his perspective as a younger man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, go check that out if anybody's interested. But going back to the Separatists, that's always something I've come to realize, or I've thought about, is like how with the Separatists, it's like they're not really. I mean, they're portrayed as the bad guys, but they're not really, because they're just kind of wanting to do their own thing.
Yeah, because, and I mean, they have very valid complaints because the Republic kind of sucks.
Yeah, and they're gaining so much power, and they just don't want to be a part of that, and like, that's fine.
And depending on how you view droids, I mean, in that sense, they are acting more ethically when it comes to, they're literally just creating robots.
Yeah.
They're not creating actual people.
Yeah, that are just literally meant to fight and die. And then that's also another thing too, those droids, they kind of have their own personalities as well. I mean,
Yeah, that's a very like interesting conversation. That's very long, and I don't know if we want to get into that.
No,
but yeah, it is a little upsetting. Like you get it a lot in the Clone Wars, where it's like, I just got promoted, and you're like, damn it, I feel bad. For
yeah,
that guy.
because literally that one guy its head ripped off, or
something like
that. Because no, I remember there was one scene where there was a droid commander. It wasn't like your typical like droids you see. There was these really cool droids that they had that you never see again in the Revenge of the Sith. They're like really boxy and they have like these beaks. They kind of look like bird beaks. It's really weird, but they look really cool. And then another droids that really kind of makes the droids horrifying is the droid commandos.
Oh my god, yeah.
Literally in the 5th fucking episode, they just go in. Droid commandos sent in to infiltrate the moon base of Kamino. They fucking kill one of the clone troopers and wears armor and fucking just walk around as like, hey, my name's whatever. And it's just so, and they're just so acrobatic and fucking they snap a dude's neck. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like, and I know what episode you're talking about in particular, and that episode's like extra intense.
Yeah, it's literally we get introduced to Fives,
Domino
Echo,
Squad.
yeah, and Heavy, and really good. But
thank goodness for Cartoon Network's very lax standards and practices.
it was literally from that episode they had to they had to change stuff because I can't remember. I think we talked about this where in that episode they said hell or shit, and it was just and it was like it came on at the 7:00 time slot,
And it's like really dark, especially for a kid show. Granted, there's some stuff in the Clone Wars that I'm just like, how the fuck did they get away with this?
Yeah.
Like the stuff on Umbara where it's like dealing with friendly fire and the clones are having this existential crisis.
My God,
It's
and that's way later, but fuck me, that's such a good that's so good because it's so scary.
Yeah.
And, like those first few episodes, it's like okay, it's fine, we're in Star Wars universe, you know, you get a little friendly message at the beginning of the show. It's like, here you go, kids. And then you get to that 5th episode and it's like, holy shit. They're secretly killing clones. They're trying to take over this base. Self-sacrifice. A clone just got eaten by a giant fucking eel. What the fuck is going on?
I mean, literally the first episode, like Grievous stabbed somebody through the back into the chest.
and it's like, roll tide, let's go.
Well, no, the first episode is Yoda going with I can't remember the clone's name, but it was a squad of 3 clones, and they're going to that one planet. It's the Troidaria, and they're trying to have an agreement with the king.
Yeah, because I think they're like a new. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Sorry.
But like, I mean, this is kind of like impromptu kind of Clone Wars.
Yeah, because who knows if we'll ever get to talk about that.
But getting back to the whole separatist thing, like, and I say we're leaving the Clone Wars, and then I'm about to talk some more about the Clone Wars, but like outside of a few things with Ahsoka and that senator's kid on the separatist senator's kid,
yeah,
you really don't get to see inside of what the separatists are, because I mean at the end of the day they're not much different, because like Dooku's running it and he's answering to Sidious, who's controlling this whole thing. But like outside of that one little snippet where you kind of get into their mindset, you only see the deep state of the separatists, which are all these like banking conglomerates, and like all these unions and stuff, which makes you which is like, yeah, George Lucas does not like organization at all.
No,
it's just sort of weird how like the separatists are more or less this designated villain. Like we're kind of told that they're the bad guys without giving much evidence to the fact. But it's just kind of, I guess, the problem of kind of enforcing a black and white morality narrative on a story that has a lot of like sort of like gray tones to like the morality of it, and that's just sort of just left for people to ponder on themselves or other people to pick up outside of the movies to really play with.
Yeah, which works and hurts Lucas at the same time.
But and it can also be argued that we only really get everything from the Republic's perspective. So yeah, they would be the villains.
Villain, yeah.
But I just think it would just be a lot more interesting to see the Separatist perspective.
Yeah. Which, Lucas, come on, man. But Oh man, there was something else I was gonna say too. I feel like whenever it came time after Order 66, when the Republic became the Empire, it feels like there was kind of a switch where the Separatists became essentially the rebels, and then the Republic became the Empire. And
Yeah, yeah, because there's a lot of like separatist like carryover to the.
yeah, I mean, I can't remember where I read or heard this, but that's why I originally thought because I mean I know most of the Separatist leaders were killed by Anakin, but
Yeah, in that one room.
yeah, but I do feel like the rebels used a lot of separatist ships, so like a lot of stuff carried over from that separatist movement. But yeah, and speaking of ships, that opening sequence is still easily just one of the best.
Yes, I really, really, really enjoy it, and the music is just amazing. Probably it's one of my favorite tracks in the entire saga, but just it's all that one take, and yeah, it's CG. It's less impressive than if it was practical, but at the same time, it's still one take.
Yeah,
and it's
sorry.
Up until there's actual like dialogue and stuff, but you really get to see how like destructive a battle in the Clone Wars was.
Yeah, and I mean even for those who say it's CG like or want practical, it's like, well, I mean with practical, it's like we're gonna get what like stuff from the original trilogy. Like nobody wants to see that.
I mean,
that would be impressive if they could pull.
If they
like even something half as impressive with practical, but at the same time, that wasn't what Lucas was going for.
No,
I mean, Lucas didn't commission thousands of spaceships to be flown up into outer space and the brink of the atmosphere to have a warfare. Was that not on the news?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Lucas has that kind of power and money. But
one thing I did like about that kind of maybe shine through at least in the beginning part of the opening sequence is that, however, sort of uneven Anakin's character is, I did sort of like how he has this like really sort of thirst for like I guess conflict. Like he enjoys doing battle. Like he enjoys
he
being,
gets hard
like,
for it. Yeah.
So I guess like that's sort of like his like not bloodlust, but like he really enjoys. I mean that comes later.
Gear lust.
but he enjoys like combat. It was Obi-Wan's always been like, this is something I have to do. It's not something I relish, but like, Anakin has fun with it, and that sort of
I think that's because
maybe foreshadows, precipitates his fall.
I think that's I don't know if this was done by George, probably not, but I was gonna say that's probably because Anakin might confuse conflict with adventure. Because I feel like I mean Luke and Anakin are very much the same in that being in Tatooine, they want to leave that fucking huge ass desert and go out and explore. And I mean, that's something that at some point probably everybody has, is like that feeling of like, wanting to get out there and see what's out there. And I think that's like what kind of drives Anakin, is like that feeling of excitement and adventure comes from conflict, but he doesn't see it as a conflict. He just sees it as, oh, this is very fun and exciting, but it's actually really dangerous and might kill me and my friends.
He almost killed Obi-Wan trying to get the little buzz droids off.
That was kind of funny, though. That was good.
It's like, Anakin.
Which, like, as much as in the first part of this we were shitting on Hayden Christensen and Anakin, but, like, the one little bright spot in his performance, I think, is in that first, like, 20 minutes where you do get to see, like Pat was saying, genuine chemistry between the two.
Yeah, I always smile during that first sequence, and then everything from then on, I get kind of like a almost going to a frown, but neutral, stoic.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah.
We're
back to this again.
That's just for Hayden. Everything else gets a smile from me. Like, sorry, going back to the clones as well. Like, something I enjoyed was like how, I think I've talked about this, is like how there's so much going on in the background as well. I mean, it's not really showcased that much, but like on the Battle of Utapau, where we get like several different, we get one cut of like it's going back. It's during the chase of Obi-Wan. Is it? Oh man, no, it's after. Sorry, it's after his chase, after him getting Grievous. He's back on his big dog lizard, and there's a moment where you see one of Commander Cody's soldiers running up to one of the spider droids and taking it down. and that was just. I remember being a kid and thinking that was so badass. That was so cool. And then like you also hear like the clones, like even though like it's the same voice actor, it's like you hear them all like talking to each other, communicating like, "Hurry, come over here," or whatever. And it's just I don't know. I really enjoy that. And again, it's just something that like was never fleshed out, and it will never be, unless you watch the Clone Wars, which is go watch the Clone Wars.
Yes, which new season coming to Disney Plus whenever that launches. I don't know if it's like actually launching with it, but
It's coming.
It's coming, yeah. Isn't the new season coming this year? Or
The only thing I know we're getting
it-
this year is The Mandalorian. That's
it will probably be next year, just because I think they just announced it last year.
Yeah. Okay.
And, I mean, they were still like wrapping up Rebels, and they have that new show on Disney XD.
Still very excited though.
What's that new show on Disney XD?
The Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's centered more around the sequel trilogy.
Oh.
Which I think is good, because as much material we have in the new canon, there's still very little in the sequel trilogy, and this sort of plays like just before Episode 7, because it's about Poe scouting a young man to be in the Resistance Navy, be a pilot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh, hello, Cody. That's he's never made that sound before.
Hello.
Hey.
Is Cody haunting us?
I can't wait to see episode 4.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Oh, he dropped the Stitch poster.
Cody.
Nobody can see these things.
No.
Cody's just bumbling his way through the podcast studio.
Throwing peanut butter
to
on
be
the
fair, it is
walls.
pitch black in here.
Yeah, it's really dark. Those don't work.
Yeah,
we
there's
know.
no lights in here. Well,
All right. Yeah, so
Cody threw peanut butter on the walls and walked out.
There's so much peanut butter in here. It's a
oh
little
my god!
creepy.
It might be bathing in
when
it
we,
right now.
No, when we got here, Cody was just throwing peanut butter at me and Cole. It kept hitting our fucking. He just closed the door. He locked us in here. Oh my god! It's getting so dark. Is something gonna happen in here?
We'll stay tuned to find out.
That's.
Say 10.
Oh my god, we're in Cody's new apartment. There's a mirror, huge mirror right there.
Yeah.
There's a bathroom. There's a computer. I feel like he's trapping us in here with something.
Yeah.
And it's also haunted as shit.
Oh, yeah, it was built in the 1950s.
Ooh.
So yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, I feel like we covered a lot
Yeah, we
of.
pretty much got it. Like,
Well, one thing we didn't cover was that the ending duel.
Oh, that shit.
I hate you.
I loved you, Anakin.
You were my brother. I love
No,
you.
man, we talked about this, and this is where we got cut off, or what I realized where we were way deep in being cut off is like the duel was so good if it wasn't drawn out so much.
Yeah, like, and if it didn't get like super
Silly.
yeah, there's like this. They're like swashbuckling above this lava, and it's like,
Swinging across like
it's on a vine.
like okay,
Where's
at
that vine
this
from?
point you should stop fighting and try to survive, but whatever.
yeah, and like, if for some reason they were just like, hey, Jonathan, you rewrite this, I would just like have much of the fight stay the same, but have them like get increasingly like more like tired to where they're like actually like struggling, and then it kind of is like this last ditch effort, like Obi-Wan turns him into a vegetable.
I have the high ground.
I feel like even the very end, like the finale, that could still work. It's like you're tired and frustrated. Anakin's just like, I want to fucking kill Obi-Wan, so he doesn't realize that he's a tactical disadvantage, and he goes to jump and he gets all of his limbs
I mean,
chopped
it
off.
could literally just be like because you remember they were in the whatever the base, and they hit the control panel, and it caused the shielding of the things to be gone, and that's what caused the lava to burn them. The shield things, I don't know what they are. Sails. Fuck.
I don't know what purpose they have, but yeah, it's
But
just
for some reason they needed shields, which I guess makes sense because you don't want lava hitting you, but like, why are they there? Anyway, it would just made sense if like, okay, we destroyed the shielding of the base, now we're getting hit with lava, the whole base is burning down, oh no, we're falling, it crashed, now we're down at the bottom of the valley, I have the high ground, Anakin.
This is for all the juggalos and juggalettes.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I really enjoy the whenever we get that little moment of like Anakin, like, this is my new empire. Like I kind of enjoyed that speech a little bit, but then Obi-Wan's little rebuttal to it, like, your new empire?
Like, what?
Like, Anakin.
Yeah, like, and it's not like terrible dialogue.
No.
Either. It's actually like competently written.
Yeah, it's pretty chewable.
It's just it's Hayden Christensen.
It's Hayden Christensen because it's like he has that creepy stare, and he just has that dry kind of tone to him, and he's like,
don't make me kill you.
I've brought peace and security to my new empire. And then Obi-Wan is coming in with like, your new empire? Anakin, my allegiance is to this whatever
to the Republic, to democracy.
Yeah, which is really good because like you do see like, you know, the Jedi have been made into bad guys at this point, and it's like Obi-Wan is still very much trying to get to him and trying to tell him, hey, I'm still the good guy. I'm still trying to serve democracy and the Republic. I'm just repeating what you said. It's like you do see like, Anakin, you're a douche and an idiot.
Yeah.
and then fucking Obi-Wan goes, only Sith steal the absolute. I will do what I must. And it's like, never mind, Obi-Wan, you fucking dumbass.
It's like that in of itself being an absolute.
Yeah.
Like it's like we keep talking, like there's all this like glimpses of something better. Like you know, it shows that both sides, you know, or all sides have something that muddies them up. And something I was thinking about is that maybe why Anakin falls so hard, why he leans so much to the power, because he comes from a background where he literally had none.
Yeah.
And to finally be a point in his life where he has like
all this motherfucking power,
all this power and influence, it's kind of like, what would happen if he gave someone who was literally deprived of like all their choices,
who was literally a slave,
and then suddenly was given everything, you know, just over the course of a few years. Like, how will that warp someone's thinking?
Yeah, like, man, Anakin's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know like how much they mention it, but like there's also the whole talk of the prophecy that never gets fleshed out, but like that has to go to his head, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm hot shit. Another thing that would fix this fight scene, after the fight starts, there's no dialogue until the end,
and there's a kissing scene.
Yeah, there's a kissing scene too, but the dialogue in the fight scene itself is some of the worst of the prequel trilogy. Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Oh, fuck that. I hate it so much.
It's just instant cringe, and I just want to die.
Man.
This is the shitty timeline we live in.
Oh, yeah. This is the worst just because of that.
Forget all like the pain and suffering that actually goes on. It's like this fucking one scene in this one movie.
Well, that was the trigger that kickstarted the worst timeline.
Fucking Lucas, piece of shit.
2005?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it all went wrong.
God damn, man.
But I will say, apparently, like a lot of the dialogue, especially like Anakin's posturing right before the fight, is like taken from actual speeches giving during the Bush administration, and it's like people like getting into like the sequel trilogy, and people like, oh my god, Star Wars is now political. It's like, well, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah,
for like the past.
Wait a minute.
Even the original trilogy was like, yeah, the Empire are clearly Nazis, or like designed after Nazis.
I mean, literally, the stormtroopers were based off of the German stormtroopers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how like
nah, not political.
That's not political at all.
Nah,
but,
empires.
I want to be even more nakedly political with my movies, said George.
Empire, Senate's not political.
I got some bad news for people.
Sorry.
Everything's political. Just so you know.
And
even if you think it isn't, it is.
Brushing your teeth is political.
Pretty much, yeah.
Fucking hygiene, man. Brush your fucking teeth. God.
Stinky
Make a
ass.
political statement. Fuck the establishment. Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth. Okay, if nobody knows, brush your teeth twice a day, and if you can, 3 times.
Oh, I was gonna
Floss every day.
Floss every day. Yeah.
I have,
AYCH dental tips of the day.
Yep. What is it called?
I was gonna say I have one question about what is everyone's favorite line from the movie,
Ooh.
Oh fuck.
because I have mine.
Let's go ahead and hear yours, Colt.
Yeah.
General Kenobi.
Oh
That was
fuck.
good.
Wait, what? When was that?
Grievous when he first sees Kenobi at the beginning of the movie.
I should say too. I don't know if you did. Oh fuck! Hold on. General Kenobi. Yeah, no, that's a good line.
Yeah, I need everyone else's.
What,
There's
you got-
so
you-
many good ones.
you
This
got
movie
one-
is full of them.
You got one, Pat? Because I need to think.
Same.
I'm not really one that quote bad movies or like flawed movies.
There's so many.
Oh, no,
okay, I got one.
I got one.
Okay, you go, Wenzel.
Do it.
There it is.
Oh, the best line. Do it. Yeah. My favorite. This is more of an exchange than a line. But when Anakin and Padme are in the apartment, it's like, it's only because I'm so in love. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
Oh, fuck off.
So love has blinded you.
Oh, no, shut up.
Best line in the entire saga.
I remember
hands
that.
Down.
All right, now it's all on you, Pat.
Pat's just so pissed right now.
Oh, I got one.
Yes!
Okay, how did we go
Forget
this?
that. That's Colt even pointed it out.
Yes,
No. Oh my god, that was
Oh my god.
I fucking love it.
so awful.
And speaking of that, like tying it into like the actual ending of the movie, it's like, God, John Williams is pulling out all the stops, and it's at this point I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But because you have that like epic like operatic choir
Yeah.
as the armor's being put on, and like I heard like someone say I can't remember who. It's like, even if it was just like a scream and not the word no, that would have been so much better than
Oh.
James Earl Jones. No.
Man, it would have been so like if it was just a horror, like painful scream. Oh man, yeah, I could see it. Damn.
And then they want to pull out the whole Japor snippet thing, like at the very last minute. And it's like, God, it's been like what, 8 years? Who the fuck remembered that?
Fuck. Man, also I do think it's funny how whenever the robot is helping Padme give birth, they're twins. Like, okay.
Just throw one out. You only need one.
oh yeah. We also got to talk about the fact that way Padme dies is just fucking stupid. She died of a broken heart. It's like, fuck you, Lucas.
But that also,
it's not that like her throat literally got crushed, but
I do. But she was still able to. she was still able to scream and then name her children. I don't know. She got pushed. That's killed her.
I mean, shit. I mean, this is a movie about fucking space wizards, so I mean, suspension of disbelief. But like, at the same time, it's like the whole like, she died of a broken heart.
That's just bad writing.
She lost the will to live. I'm like, this is stupid. This is dumb.
No, I mean, yeah, that's just.
It's either that or they say literally we have no reason for her to be in the plot anymore.
I mean,
I mean, that is literally what it is.
Yeah. Like, oh my god. No, I just think it's weird, like how never like, okay, Luke and Leia are brother and sister, and their names both start with the L. But when, like, why make them twins? Because they're not fucking twins. They look nothing alike. Like, just say
There's unidentical twins. I don't remember what they're called.
Fraternal twins.
Fraternal twins.
But even then, it's like, why? Just say
Because one of them is not Anakin's kid. I'm still buying that.
It's Obi.
Oh, Obi-Wan and Padme fucked.
But they were. Jonathan, you're hurting my head.
You're breaking my heart.
Oh, shit. No, wait. Can I?
Oh, okay. Second best line.
Okay, yeah.
You're going down a path I cannot follow.
Now,
Pat, wait. Is that Natalie Portman?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I think Pat actually gave more emotion than Natalie Portman did in that scene. But to also go back,
Soon will be consumed.
okay, going back to Natalie Portman basically just being an outline of a character and not being like an actual character. the original script for Revenge of the Sith, she was supposed to like have a knife when she was approaching Anakin and was going to shank his ass. But I'm like, why did you cut that? And I imagine they probably were like, oh, it would probably be too dark. And it's like, but I'm thinking, too dark for a movie where a guy literally becomes a veggie and
Kills children.
Genocides children.
That's the second time we've said that on this episode.
On screen, and then is burned alive, still living.
In front of the audience. And plus, like, in the first 5 minutes, you see one of the clone troopers shit get blown up, and his, like, one of the pilots' his body just floating in the debris.
In space, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but, like, a woman having actual agency is too dark for you?
Yeah. Damsel in distress? No. Or, no, yes, has to be damsel in distress. Nothing more. Sorry.
God damn you, Lucas.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I think that wraps up all of this amazing talk of Revenge of the Sith.
I could have gone on for longer. No, I couldn't.
Is it the best movie of the prequel trilogy?
Yes.
Is it better than anything outside? No.
No. Yeah.
In my opinion, it's better than the original 3. I don't really care.
Well,
for the
Colt, fuck you.
I mean, if that's what you want to say, hey, that's fine, because I don't.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I liked Star Wars when I was younger. Because, in all honesty, the original and the prequels, not the best movies. Now that I've watched more movies in my life, I don't really care for them that much compared to some more movies I've seen.
Well, I remember I got into Star Wars because I really love the action figures, especially Bosk. Bosk is always will be my favorite. He just looks so cool to me. But then it's like I saw the first Clone Wars and I was like, oh my god, I love Star Wars. Then they released Star Wars: The Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. That sealed it for me. Like that's what I love about Star Wars. That time period, the Clone Wars, love that so much. It's
also the current trilogy fucks hard. Just want to say that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank you everybody who listened to this. Sorry again for the hiccups and any weird audio stuff. I am still apparently very new to this because there's some shit in here that I'm still trying to work out. But thank you again for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you can follow us on there for our awesome little tweets. Those are fun. Those are cool. This comes out... You won't, by the time Tomorrow, which is today because that's when it's coming out.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as we're recording this now... It actually comes out tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah.
What is tomorrow?
The 26th.
Yep.
It came out today for you.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood comes out today as well. Go check that out. The Boys on Amazon Prime. Go check that out. Yeah, so, and you can check us out on SoundCloud, on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Overcast, All You Can Hear. We're on there. On all RSS feeds. Go check us out. Go listen to us. Our most recent episode that came out on Monday was the
Banter Buffet. That was really fun. A lot of good food. A lot of weird stuff Pat did. Pat went really weird in this episode. I don't know how to explain it.
Pat went right. He did the right thing, and I'm so proud of him for doing it.
He went ripe, and he went ripe.
Yep.
The bravest of you all.
Check us out on twitch.tv/ All You Can Hear as well. You can check us out on our YouTube channel for our VODs from the stuff that we've done on Twitch. They live there forever. Our channel name is All You Can Hear as well.
All You Can Hear Podcast, AYCH Podcast.
Okay, thanks, Colt. And yeah.
I could have not told you.
But you gave me 2 names.
That's one of the above.
Oh my God. Okay, whatever. Thank you for listening again. You can follow me, Wenzel, on Twitter at WenzelWilkie. You can follow my art Instagram at World of Wenzy.
This is Patrick. Thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. You can follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at AYCH Podcast.
Thanks, Pat.
Oh, my name is Jonathan, and I got some interesting stuff coming the way, so stay tuned.
My name's Colt. Follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. And I hate you. As a line, I don't hate you.
No.